Summary of Eveline by James Joyce. Eveline, a young woman from Dublin, is sitting by the window and watching the sun go down. She sees that only the man who lives in the last house on her street is outside. She can hear his steps as he walks toward the part of her street where the red houses are newer. She remembers that the area with the red houses used to be a field where all the neighborhood kids played when she was a child. Ernest, her best brother, was too old to play with them at the time, but the Davinas, Waters, Dunns, and little Keogh, who was disabled, were all there. Eveline's father would use a blackthorn stick to look for them. Eveline's father is mean, but she remembers him being less mean when she was younger. She felt better back then. Now, her mother is dead, and all of her brothers and the families in the neighborhood have either died or moved away. Eveline is also making plans to leave. When Eveline looks around the room and sees familiar things covered in dust, it makes her feel sad. She sees the picture of her father's friend the priest, who is now living in Melbourne, and the print of the vows made to the French nun and Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque. Now Eveline is starting to wonder if it is wise for her to leave her home, where she has food, protection, and people she knows. She thinks about what people will say about her at the stores when they find out she ran away with a guy from Dublin. She decides not to go back to the stores because her boss, Miss Gavin, is always being hard on her. Eveline thinks about her new life in a different country and how her marriage will give her the respect she doesn't have in Dublin. Her father has been making more and more threats to her lately. When she was a child, he would leave her alone because she was a girl. But now that she's almost 19 and Ernest is dead and Harry is often at work, she's a target. Money is also a source of tension between her and her father, who says she wastes money. Eveline works hard to take care of her father and two kids who were left in her care. Life is hard, but now that she's going to leave, she sees that it's not a wholly undesirable life. Eveline and Frank, an Irish sailor who lives in Buenos Aires but was in Dublin when they met, are going to take the night boat to Buenos Aires. As she thinks about what to do, she thinks about their connection. At first, Eveline liked Frank because he paid her attention, but over time, she grew to like him because of the stories he told about his trips abroad. Eveline's father tells her not to see him, but she keeps seeing him in secret and makes plans to move to Buenos Aires with him. She looks down at the letters she's been holding in her lap, one for Harry and one for her father. She starts to remember all the good times she's had with her father, like when he took care of her when she was sick and when they went on family trips. Eveline doesn't have much more time left before she has to leave. She hears an organ and thinks of her mother's last night, when there was also organ music out on the street. She remembers making a promise to her mother that she would keep the family together. She also remembers the sacrifices her mother made and how they caused her to lose her mind. Eveline starts to worry and try to find a way out of a situation that looks a lot like what happened to her mother. She thinks she deserves to be happy and hopes Frank can save her. Eveline decides to meet Frank at the train stop. She is in a lot of trouble, and she keeps asking God what to do. Eveline freezes just as Frank grabs her hand to take her onto the boat. As she holds on to the railing and screams toward the sea, she understands that she is too afraid of the unknown and that Frank will drown her. She feels sad as Frank gets on the boat without her and calls for her to come with him.
About the author. James Joyce grew up in Rathgar, which is a suburb of Dublin. He went to University College and started publishing literary reviews, songs, and plays while he was there. After college, he went to Paris to study medicine for a short time. Joyce's mother got sick in 1903, just 1 year later, and he moved back to Dublin to take care of her. After he met his wife, they left Dublin and lived in many places, including Yugoslavia and Italy. During World War I, they fled to Zurich. He only went back to Dublin 4 times, but he wrote a lot about the city and Ireland in general in many of his works. Joyce got advice from the artist Ezra Pound, who helped him get a portrait of the artist as a young man published in 1916. This happened 2 years after Joyce's first book, Dubliners, came out. Dubliners was a collection of 15 short stories, one of which was Eveline. Joyce's reputation as a modernist writer grew after these two books, but it grew even more after Ulysses came out in 1922. Ulysses was praised as a work and banned in many countries for being too rude. Joyce kept working after Ulysses. In 1939, he came out with Finnegan's Wake, which was even more avant-garde than Ulysses. Joyce died of complications from ruptured ulcer surgery in 1941.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.